Hi everyone, welcome to your Rangers review post-match briefing. Rangers 5, Fraserburgh 0 in the Scottish Cup. Cyril Dessers gets a hat-trick. That was a dull first half, Chris Jack, a little bit more entertainment in the second half. We're going to discuss the game briefly as ever before tomorrow's morning briefing. Chris, a hat-trick for Cyril Dessers, a couple of big misses from Cyril Dessers. He was the top of the conversation in the post-match press conference. A few young players impressed. A few maybe didn't quite take their chance alongside other first-team players, but maybe harsh to pick people out in what wasn't a great first-half performance. A game like this, I think you've got to give Fraser credit because they did well for large parts. I think they were helped by Rangers' lack of tempo on the ball in the first half. Have I missed anything else? Clinton and Seattle good again, and a game that I don't imagine will be talked much about come the end of the season.
No, I don't think it'll feature that highly in our end of season. Not a lot to take from it. I thought it was fine. The Rangers they avoid the shock. They do what they had to do. They get some minutes in the legs of some players. They give some other younger players a chance, as he touched on. They get through. Score 5 goals. Dessers gets his hat-trick. So not huge positives given the occasion and the level of the opposition. Obviously, no huge negatives. So I think it's very much a job done kind of evening. I said Dessers will be pleased with his 3 goals, and I think we have to give Fraserburgh, as you touched on there, give them a bit of credit. I think they'll be really frustrated that first half an hour to lose a goal in that manner. Now we've spoken a lot. You've written about it. Rangers don't score enough goals from set pieces, and I think for Fraserburgh to lose one in that manner, I think that'll really frustrate them and disappoint them. But I think there's enough in it to be pleased enough from a Rangers point of view.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting called a ventriloquist in the chat, Chris. There, I see, because you're lagging slightly, but we can hear you loud and clear, thankfully. So no such worries. I thought I put out a tweet at halftime that I thought that first half was just like an indication of what Rangers' issues are, and that you're right. It's a game where because of the Rangers B team, I think beat Fraserburgh 5-0 earlier in the season. So this is a game where if you don't win 10-0 or have a really commanding scoreline, then people will pick negatives in it. But I thought that the inability to really create chances when Fraserburgh were kind of camped around their box is an issue that isn't new. If you look where Rangers goals come from, a lot of them are either into space or later on in the game, a set piece which is good, but outside of that in the first half, outside of the Dessers miss, there wasn't that many opportunities created, Chris. Fraserburgh actually had a really good chance with the game at 1-0. Mason Munn making his Rangers debut, didn't have much to do. A couple of mix-ups at the back, kind of throughout for Rangers. Fraserburgh almost capitalised upon one when the game was at 1-0. I'm sure would have made Ibrox an interesting place. It had that gone into the back of the net. But Dessers gets his hat-trick. Before we speak about the young players, Chris, who played today, Philippe Clement was speaking in the press conference about Cyril Dessers and his future. Obviously, we reported now, I think, over a week ago that Rangers were open to offers for Dessers. He's a player who is 30 years old, still has 2.5 years left on his contract, no longer the first choice at the club. Equally, if you sell him in this window, you've got to replace him. Just bring us up to speed with what the kind of tone of conversation was from Clement post-match on Dessers.
If there are any technical issues, they are Ibrox issues rather than our issues. We're on the Wi-Fi here, so it's not a case of Johnny's not paid my Wi-Fi bill. I paid a 4G bill. We are all good from our end. On Dessers, it was a very Dessers kind of afternoon. Now he starts by missing a chance that seemed easier to score than it was to miss, but then gets a hat-trick. I think the third one, that was certainly a lot harder than the one that he missed in the first half. He did well, and from an angle that was getting tighter all the time, he manages also to get it back across and gets his hat-trick. So I think that was a nice moment for him. He also ended the game wearing the captain's armband as well. Not a lot of contenders when James Tavernier goes off late on, but Dessers, I think he probably deserves it. I think that's a nice moment for him. How long he's here for, time will tell. I think we've reported on the site the last couple of weeks that Rangers, if the right offer comes in, they would be willing to allow him to move on. He's just fallen down down the pecking order a wee bit last couple of weeks. The man is the man of the moment. Obviously, Danilo has picked up a knock, but we understand that it's not going to be a longer term issue. So I think Cyril will continue to find his game time limited. It's games like this, certainly the Ibrox ones, that he might find his minutes. I think his record shows overall that he will still score a decent number of goals. He's not going to take every chance. He's going to upset people. He's going to frustrate people. But his record will be okay come the end of the season. It's whether Rangers feel that that's enough of a contribution in the second half of the season, and also looking slightly longer term. Manager was asked in the press conference about his future, and basically outlined the fact that if Dessers was to leave, and if, as the manager says there, it needs to be at least the same quality for a player to come in. So he's not looking at it as Dessers can move on, and I'm happy with that. He's already setting his stall out there, saying that if Cyril was to leave over the next fortnight or so of this transfer window, he's looking for a replacement. That's also not going to come cheap. We were in the briefing with Patrick Stewart a couple of weeks ago when he didn't really say that Rangers were going to do an awful lot of business. I didn't get that feeling of we're going to go and spend a couple of £1 million on someone in this window. So I think they would be reluctant to let Dessers leave if they knew that it was going to be difficult to get someone in. If they have someone lined up who they can invest in and who they can develop, you look at the deals that have been done of late, it's going to be a younger player. It's not going to be someone of a Dessers profile in terms of the leagues that he's played in and the number of clubs that he's played for. It's going to be a younger player that's going to come in, someone that can be developed. Perhaps not as raw as a man, but certainly not as experienced as Dessers is. So interested to see how that unfolds. But the manager saying there, he will expect to sign a replacement if Dessers was to move on. But he also said, I'll quote him here, I know if he's here, he will give everything for the club. So that's definitely something. I don't think you can ever doubt that about Dessers. Now, we've spoken often enough about his good, his bad, his indifferent. We know what he's good at. We know what he's not so good at. I think his mentality and the way that he buys into it, I don't think ever accuse him of lacking effort. So that's something that the managers can reinforce in that answer.
Yeah, aside from that, Chris, Clinton and Ciala, again, it's a difficult game by which to judge any Rangers player on the level of opposition that they're playing. But those passes that he played really well against Aberdeen, continued that today. Obviously, gets his first Rangers goal after he got his first Rangers assist, even if there was a little bit of a deflection. Ross McCausland got the other one, coming in for a fair bit of criticism, I think, online. McCausland should have had an assist in the first half, and it would have been a really good assist had Dessers opened the scoring before he did. What do you make of any other kind of standout performers or players you maybe didn't think took their chance? I thought Finlay Curtis was really bright from the bench alongside Bailey Rice. Obviously plays those two passes. Only gets one assist, but it's his pass that makes the fourth goal and the fifth goal to Finlay Curtis from the left. Anyone else really stand out for you watching today, Chris?
I think a mixed afternoon for some of the youngsters. If you can still put McCausland in that bracket, I don't think you could say he took his chance. He's not exactly chapping the manager's door on Monday morning saying, I played really well there, can you start me at Old Trafford? Not going to happen. I think he's very much down the list of options on that right hand side. Mason Munn didn't have an awful lot to do. Obviously made the mistake in the build up to the chance that he referenced earlier on. Apart from that, got through his work fine. Thought Rice looked really comfortable when he came on. Had a couple of shots, could have maybe got himself a goal. Curtis, as you said there, involved in a couple of nice moments. I didn't think Lovelace offered much that we didn't already know. He's quick, he's direct. We know what he can do. Didn't really have any scoring opportunities, so he'll maybe feel frustrated that he didn't really capitalise on that chance. But as the manager said, he's also had his injury issues of over the last really couple of seasons now, actually. So you can't really be too harsh on him. I think we really need to see more of these players, and that's the big question for Rangers now. When will Bailey Rice get a couple of games? When will Curtis or when will Lovelace actually get these chances? We know that Mason Munn is not going to very often unless there's a familiar or a similar type of tie in the next round. It's going to be a long time until you see Mason Munn playing in the Rangers first team again. You would think, also with Butland coming back, Liam Kelly has done okay in Butland's absence. But you look further up the pitch now, when is Rice going to get minutes? When's Lovelace? When's Curtis? When are they going to get their chances? The manager referenced Paul Incio in the post-match presser as well. You look at the Premiership situation, I don't think we're telling them anything they don't know by saying that Rangers probably won't win the league this season.
Yeah.
There's going to be opportunities. There should be opportunities, certainly in the remaining Ibrox games. You need to give these guys the game time. You need to see what they can offer. So can Curtis bring more than Dessers in games? Can he certainly bring more than McCausland if he can play off the other side? Will Rice get in ahead of certainly Kieran Dowell, who, as we understand it, will be allowed to move on from the club over the next couple of weeks? So it's about opportunities for these guys, and we need to see on a more regular basis what they can actually bring to the party.
Yeah, and kind of tying into two different things we've had on the website over the last week yourself. With that line about Matondo and Dowell's future, obviously neither of those players in the squad today, and the news that Rangers are going to be prioritising loan deals over kind of the best fee, best B team programme, which just hasn't worked. You see that even over the last couple of days, Leighton Grant and Christian Webster both going out on loan as well. That's on top of Robbie Fraser and Cole McKinnon. I guess the question will be for Rangers before the end of the window, that the likes of Finlay Curtis, how much is he going to play before now and the end of the season? I think Zach Lovelace probably ahead of him in that position. I agree. He didn't grab the first half, but I'd say that I just think for lots of different reasons, namely for me the fact that Rangers are a team that look better over kind of big distances rather than small spaces. They're not a team that you watch and think they're excellent at breaking down defences. Dessers gets his goal, but because he doesn't really bring other people into play as well, it limits you going through the middle. Rangers aren't, I don't think, a good team against a low block. So I don't think that Lovelace, while he maybe didn't set the header alight, I don't think it was the most perfect environment for him to do so. But definitely it makes complete sense, whether it be Insial or whether it be Rice or whether it be Lovelace over the likes of Dowell and Matondo and whoever else signing a short-term older player at centre-back that wouldn't have made sense. The only way that Rangers are going to build up the right type of squad going forward is by lowering the average age of their squad, which they are beginning to do. Any final pressing thoughts, Chris, before I cut you off and we never speak about the game again, or have we covered it all?
No, I think we've probably covered it all. We'll leave it to Derek and Stevie to go over the finer details first thing in the morning. But I think it's all focused on Manchester United now. That's also the game that's coming thick and fast for Rangers, and that's then followed up by a game up at Tannadice, and who knows what that's going to bring. So this was very much a job done, a box tick for Rangers. They've got through it. They can now watch the Dundee derby on Monday night, watch the draw afterwards, see who lies in wait in the fifth round. But it's all attention's on Old Trafford now.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll leave it there. Thanks to Chris for joining me. Thanks to all of you for watching. Remember, subscribe to the channel for free if you've not done so already. We'll speak to you in the morning and, of course, throughout the week as we head down to Manchester for Rangers against Manchester United in the Europa League. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and bye for now.